What is going on? Welcome back to the Birdcage. Today, I am joined alongside Kolton Kennon. I'm Jack Kenna, and we'll be previewing the North Carolina Kansas game tomorrow. Colton, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? I'm excited to watch the game, and I'm going as a fan as well with you. I'm gonna be
Mm.
sitting by you, so it should be a fun time.
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be different because we are going as fans and we're not going with credentials this time. But I kind of wanted to discuss the game a little bit because I think it's going to be an interesting early season game, an early season tough test.
Yeah, I'm excited that we did to play this type of game early in the year. It's always good to play that type of game, and then literally next week we play Michigan State. You're going to that game in Atlanta, so
Mhm.
two back-to-back really tough games. Although I don't think North Carolina's as good as some people think this year. It'll be it'll be a fun game, and I think Kansas needs it for the Big 12, depending or for how Baylor played against Gonzaga. I think Big 12 needs a pretty solid win.
Yeah. Uh, Baylor kind of got smoked by the Zags on opening night. So a big win for the Big 12 would uh, be really nice for KU. Do you know when the last time these two teams played?
National championship, of course.
It was the national championship where the Kansas Jayhawks fought back from a 15-point deficit to defeat the North Carolina Tar Heels. I want to say 72-69
Yeah.
was the final score of that game. Do you know who all played, who was on the court, who's still there this time around?
Yes. So I definitely know for Kansas. I'm not too sure about North Carolina, but I know KJ Adams was on there. He played a little in
Yep.
that run.
KJ played a bit. Dewan
DeJuan
started.
Harris. Yeah, DeJuan started. And then a bunch of not like role players like Zach Clements was on the team. There's a lot of people on there's a couple more people on the team, but really the only main guys who played were DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams.
Yeah, KJ Adams played a total of 3 minutes, and Dewan actually played 27. He started that game. On the
Hey,
opposite
shout
end, the
out KJ
only
Adams though.
player from North Carolina who actually played that game who is still there is RJ Davis, who had
Yeah.
a double-double against us with 15 points, 12 rebounds. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a fun game in Lawrence. I know I'm super excited to go. I know you're super excited to go, but it's gonna be a tough test.
No, yeah. I can't wait for the like when the hype video comes on shows Caleb Love missing that shot against North Carolina, but I think North Carolina will come out and playing really well. I mean, they didn't
Mhm.
look too good against Elon. I mean, they won
Yep.
by I think 13 points, but the second half was a little sloppy and RJ Davis I saw was 3 for 11 from downtown, so not the most efficient. But they had four players in double figures. I mean, they have a lot of good offensive players.
Yeah, North Carolina is a very good offensive team this year. They just have weapons all around the ball. In particular, you mentioned their biggest weapon, RJ Davis, who was a first team All American this year, along with Hunter Dickinson. So it's going to be a battle between them, but mainly realistically, it's going to be a battle between the four other guys because we know RJ Davis is going to get his, and we know Hunter Dickinson is going to get his. But it's going to almost be a 4-on-4 for the other guys to see who's going to pull this one out. I've done a little bit of research because I know I'm talking about it tomorrow, about the North Carolina Kansas game. I've been doing a little bit of research, and what I've noticed is North Carolina loves to push the ball. I think
Yeah.
KU loves to push the ball, and North Carolina likes to do that just as much, if not more, than Kansas does. So I think really, if we can stop North Carolina in transition, we're gonna have a good shot tomorrow.
No, yeah, I saw against Elon. They like you said, they push the ball a ton, and Kansas has so many athletic lineups that they can put out there that can really stick with a North Carolina team that likes to play fast.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying Hunter Dickinson will struggle in that game because he'll probably be the most dominant player on the court.
Yep.
But for some reason, if he gets too early fouls or if he's just, I mean, he's coming off the injury on his foot. So if he gets gassed, you can put in Flory, who's way more athletic than Hunter Dickinson. But it'll be interesting to see how well he can keep up with the game, the pace of the game, because I expect it to be a fast game too.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fast game, but you kind of touched on it. Um, Athleticism is going to be all over the court. If we're going to kind of signal out players for this North Carolina team that are going to be factors tomorrow, I was looking at Seth Trimble. Seth Trimble is a player that came off the bench last year for this North Carolina team, but got the start on Monday. He actually had a pretty good game, and he's been having a pretty good like run so far throughout the
Yeah.
exhibitions, throughout that first game. I think he's going to be a key factor because he can knock down the jump shot, and if North Carolina starts making a few early threes, this game could get interesting.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things for North Carolina is to get out, like make sure you don't fall behind early because it is an Allen Fieldhouse. I'd say like play your game. You don't need to try and pound it inside to Jalen Washington if you're North Carolina. I mean, he's probably going to be the one guarding Hunter Dickinson, and
Yep.
I, non-biased, I think Hunter Dickinson will win that matchup 9 times out of 10. If you're North
Uh,
Carolina, I think you just have to play fast. You have to get out to an early lead or keep it close around halftime because if you're down 8 to 10 points at halftime in Allen Fieldhouse, it's almost impossible.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be a reverse national championship.
No.
I think if North Carolina gets down, it's going to be game over. Um, we touched on the matchup. North Carolina does not have a big who can guard Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah. Do you think Kansas, like obviously KJ, DeWan, and Hunter will start? Who do you think they'll put Coit back out there? I mean, he started against Howard, but
Um, we were gonna touch on starting lineups. I think it's gonna
okay,
be
okay.
on. I think definitely we got to give Zeke Mayo the start.
I mean, dude, he was
And
what? I think 4 for 5.
he was hooping.
Yeah.
Like he didn't
I
miss
think he
very
made four
many
threes. I don't
shots.
know. Yeah.
He didn't miss very many shots on Monday.
No.
You got it's obviously Dewan, KJ Hunter, and then it's gonna be Zeke Mayo. And then it's literally between I even think Rylan Griffin can be a shout, but
Yeah.
I think Coit's been the best of the bunch so far. The only problem with having Coit on the floor, who's he gonna guard?
Yeah. I
Because
mean, even RJ Davis
Elliot
is a
Cadeau is
streak.
a big Elliot Cadeau is a big guard. RJ Davis is a national player of the year contender. Like
Yeah.
I feel like having David Coit maybe on the floor for that game could be a little interesting. So I think you might roll with a Rylan Griffin or an AJ Store, even though I've been very impressed with what Coit's been able to bring to the floor. But I'm kind of interested. What do you think the starting lineup is going to be tomorrow?
Honestly, I don't think Coach Self will do it, but I'd keep Zeke Mayo and David Coit on the bench and start the three, and then Zeke Mayo and then AJ Store and Rylan Griffin, just because I mean they've played in Power Five or Power Four conference now. Zeke
Mhm.
Mayo and David Coit, they haven't played in a game this big, I don't think. I mean, Zeke Mayo's gone to Arkansas, he's gone some places, but at South
Yeah.
Dakota State, they weren't really in contention to win those games unless it was an upset. So I mean, I think
Mhm.
that'll be not an underrated factor of the game because I think everyone's thinking about it, but seeing how they'll perform in an atmosphere where Allen Fieldhouse will be absolutely electric, it always is, but against a top 10 team in North Carolina. So I think AJ Storr and Rylan Griffin should start just because I think they have a little more experience against those top 10 teams, but
Mhm.
who knows? Maybe, hopefully, Zeke Mayo and David Coit are pumped up if one of them gets the start and they're ready to go, and I think they will be. But it'll be interesting to see how they play against a really fast, really athletic and good North Carolina team.
Yeah. Um, I was kind of going to talk about it a little tomorrow on the show. I think the keys to victory for Kansas are simple. Force North Carolina to take tough shots because they spray the ball. They shoot and they get out and they go. They took almost 80 shots. Um, Maybe it was exactly 80 against Elon on Monday. Kansas took like 53.
Jeez. That's insane.
So North Carolina is going to shoot the ball, and they're gonna try to make Kansas pay. If Kansas doesn't get out and guard the three, because there's guys on North Carolina who can shoot. Davis can shoot. He shot poorly on Monday. Elliot Cadeau can shoot.
Yeah.
Um, like we talked about Seth Trimble can shoot the ball. Seth Trimble, I think, is gonna be a key factor. Um, because realistically, North Carolina will not win with two guys.
No.
North Carolina won't win this game with one guy, especially. They're going to need help from Seth Trimble, Elliot Cadeau, and company. But I think if Kansas can force North Carolina to take tough shots, contested shots, and even shots later in the shot clock, they're gonna have a really, really good chance to win tomorrow night.
Yeah, and Kansas won by 30 against Howard. So, and it is Howard. They're a pretty good mid-major team, but they're nothing special.
Mhm.
And but Kansas shot really well, so it'll be. I mean, not nervous or like if you're Coach Self, you can't be nervous. I think he's really excited. But if they don't shoot well, then you got to find a way to pound the ball inside, and you got to get into your sets early and not just settle for those jump shots. Because I mean, if Kansas does that, then North Carolina get those long rebounds from those deep three pointers and then just push the pace.
Yeah, I think this year's team is better off in case this becomes like a track meet.
No, yeah,
Last year we
definitely.
just did not have people who could go in.
No,
But
yeah,
I also don't want it to become a track meet because I think that might not favor us as much as we'd like.
yeah. No, especially against against a North Carolina team this early in the year.
Yeah. Early in the year, there's always going to be a little like bumps and bruises along the way to the NCAA tournament. But this would be a huge start to the season for Kansas, getting this, and then I think the very next game you're going to Atlanta to take on Michigan State. So
Yeah,
it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows throughout the process, but this is going to be a great game to start.
yeah, and I don't think. I mean, Michigan State will always be a tough matchup with Tom Izzo, but you definitely don't want to start. You definitely don't want to start 0 and Allen Fieldhouse against the top 25 team. Obviously, they're 1-0, but you want to get that first win in Allen Fieldhouse. And I mean, North Carolina and Kansas is a rivalry, so I mean, like, what better team to do it against?
It is 100%. Last thing we'll talk about, we need a score prediction. What do you think?
I think it'll be close at halftime. I think it'll be a high scoring game, honestly. I think it'll be like 47-43 at halftime, and then I think Kansas wins by 10 points. I got 92 to 82 Kansas wins.
Yeah, I got something a little similar. I think North Carolina is not as good defensively. Obviously, they gave up like 70 something points to Elon. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be 84-72 Kansas. I think Kansas wins by about 12. I don't know what the spread is real quick. I know. Are you doing something on the show tomorrow that's about betting?
Yeah, I am.
Um,
But I do not know what
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
okay,
Um,
okay.
because I'm kind of interested to see what the line would be for this game. Yeah,
Sure.
the line is KU minus 8.5. Would you take that? Because I would.
Yeah. Yeah, I would take it, especially at Allen Fieldhouse. I feel like that's kind of a lock.
You know how most home environments give you 3 points?
It gives you like 6 points
Like
here, easy.
Allen Fieldhouse gives you about 6 or 7. Like
Yeah.
that's just the nature of it. I know UConn came to our house last year and it was a close game throughout the entire thing, but Kansas pulled away at the end.
Dude, and it was UConn. Like UConn was so much better than North Carolina. Even
Yeah.
and we're so much Kansas is so much better this year than they were last year. So
Yeah, I like Kansas minus 8.5. I like Kansas tomorrow. I think the Jayhawks are going to get it done. Colton, thank you for joining me. You'll be back on the recap, I guess,
absolutely.
here in a few days. But
Yeah.
let's go Jayhawks. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but we'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching.